The mind always wants to do something, even with the stillness, with the pauses between thoughts and conversation. Just savor that, feel that. What does it feel like when there's nothing to say, when there's nothing going on? Usually there's something going on in the mind, or something will come up in the body eventually, but have a play with just being here with nothing to do or nothing to say until something spontaneously comes up, and it might be after 5 minutes of just sitting there doing nothing. There's a certain trust that has to be opened into with this. A trust that's what this game is. That's what we're doing right now, is the trust that if you don't do something actively from the idea of who you think you are, if you haven't got a contracted, controlling or proactive doing of some kind, then it's sort of something's lacking. But what we're trying to open up here in this exercise is just to see what happens when you trust in nothing. You'll notice that when you trust in nothing, what I'm talking about here is trust that the doing mind, the doing self, doesn't need to be involved in this. In fact, we're exploring what happens when that's just relaxed and it's not needed. It's when we'll open into spontaneity. And all thought really is so complex that most of the thought is spontaneous. And then we'll take a small idea of what just happened, and we'll make that into the story and the concept. The conscious mind will grasp whatever's just come up, and it'll very quickly and creatively make a story about why you thought that way or what that means. And we're just exploring, that can still happen, but we're just exploring the first, where we're letting spontaneous thought arise without judgment, without control. And then it might help not have to make a story as well. You might want to. It's fun. It's a game, really. But you'll notice when you start to do this, there's space, and it's just peaceful. But it's still vibrantly alive. It's still beauty and creativity. In fact, that's where beauty and creativity come from, both in the appreciation of it and in the creation of it. And everything's always interconnected anyway. The idea of separation between creation of something and the perception from another human being is an interesting thing to look at, because you need both. It needs everything to interact. So just for this exercise, just trust. Trust being, just let go of the idea of needing to control the why or the how. And just see openly what thoughts come up. It could be, did I lock my car? It could be, what am I going to have for dinner? It doesn't matter. There could be some interesting things that come up as well. We're talking, let's focus the attention on this nature of self and how we interact in the world. What is that interaction? What are thoughts? Where do thoughts come from? What creates thoughts? What are thoughts made of? Where do they go? How long do thoughts last? If you look at that, the thought is just instantaneous expressing energy, and the thought itself is instantaneous and totally always new. And the trailing story we attach to that thought is usually coming from a history, and we just keep applying it. It's perpetuated in thought, but the actual spontaneous thought is creative and spontaneous in the moment, in the now. So we're playing with creativity. This has implications everywhere, all the way through, right into manifestation, perhaps. When we're manifesting from a conscious, contracted ego mind, we're just trying to manifest things that we think that we want when we don't really want them. If we're consciously manifesting, this is like an opening of the door towards not using the conscious mind so much. The conscious mind will always be in application, but we're trying to open the door to allowing this permeability, this openness into the subconscious, into the deeper intelligence, which is also the whole. We don't know where those boundaries lie. We like to construct boundaries with the mind, the conscious mind, but we're just sort of delving and opening into that unknowable, infinite nature of everything. Because who knows where thoughts come from? Really, the actual source of thoughts. We don't. Science doesn't know where thoughts come from. It's too complex to understand. So let's just allow whatever thoughts spontaneously might arise with a softening of the conscious mind, which usually is contracted. It's in the way, it filters things, it polarizes things, it creates limitations to everything. Let's just allow open, subconscious, open awareness to just fire up thoughts and see what happens. Just trust the process. Trust that life knows what it's doing. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing. Nothing will happen. But this is a way to unlock creativity as well, and a way to unlock true life desire, life manifestations, manifesting for the goodness, for the wholeness. Allowing life to manifest through you, in other words, with your particular character. It's like the conscious mind, when it's relieved, when it's disarmed, just when it's dissolved for a while, allows this deeper essence, awareness, energy to be unobstructed. Right now I can hear the rain on the roof. It's just a rainy day today, and how random is that? How spontaneous are all the drops of rain on a roof? No two instances exactly the same. That rain tapping on the roof with the hundreds or thousands of drops happen each little while. That's kind of the way thought spontaneously arrives. And so now we're just looking at, or we're just playing with the idea of thoughts. What's the next thought that's going to come up? And if you're still in the thinking mind might be saying, what's the point in this? Why would we spend 5 minutes looking at what thoughts are? It just feels like knowing the open nature of thoughts allows them to be more spontaneous, which allows creativity and a more powerful use of unlimited mind to do what it does in the world. So in a way, it's a bit like meditation can create space for the mind to relax and be in a non-stressed state, and it's more productive. This is a way to explore what happens when we relax the conscious control of this, the conscious thinking mind, the limited filter that is our conscious understanding of what's next and what's happening and what the thought means. Let's just leave it open. And it's encouraging creative flow, and in a way this also relaxes the energy expenditure that's required to consciously continue to make up a reason for the next thought or the story of why you're thinking a certain way. And we often do this if we have thoughts about things we don't like. Well, then, make an excuse about why we thought that way, or how we should think differently, how we must improve the way we're thinking. All of that's such a waste of energy.